it's Terry Gaines. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up, and I'm going to give you some assembly tips on creating a card made with the Frame for You stamp set and the Waterfront stamp set. Both of these are in the 2020-2021 annual Stampin' Up catalog. Before I start the assembly, I'm going to prep all of the pieces. I'm going to start out with a piece of very vanilla cardstock that is 5.5 by 1 and 5/8. I'm going to use olive green ink and the trees that are in the Waterfront stamp set. And I have a piercing mat underneath because I have photopolymer stamps, and the piercing mat's going to give a nice cushion for stamping. So I'm going to tap the ink on to get coverage on just the surface of the stamp, and I'm going to stamp the tree images across this strip of designer series paper. These trees, as I mentioned, are from the Waterfront stamp set, and the ink color I'm using is Old Olive. So I've stamped the trees across here. That's prep on that piece. On a scrap piece of cardstock, you will want to stamp your sentiment. This is very vanilla, and there are several options to select from in the Frame for You stamp set. I've stamped I'm going to cut out the With Sympathy using the Everyday Label Punch turned on the side to get just a little bit of a tag and the sentiment. But you have different options you can select from that stamp set. Ahead of time, I stamped the frame from the Frame for You using soft suede ink, and I cut this out. There's two ways to cut it out. You can cut it out with a paper trimmer, or you can use the second largest die from the Layering Ovals dies. I have a video I'll reference in the comments section on how I use the Stamparatus to stamp and cut out the frames. So that'll be a reference on another video. I'm going to stamp a scene within this frame, so I will mask that with Post-it notes. The Post-it notes I'm going to use are called a full stick Post-it note. I actually ordered these online. I'm sure a local office store would carry them. What's nice about them is they've got the whole sheet has the tackiness for your Post-it note. So I am going to cover up 3 sides of this frame. I'm going to cover the 2 sides and the bottom. I don't intend to stamp above, so I'm not going to cover that area. But if you were going to shade the area or stamp above, you could go ahead and cover that. I am leaving a little bit of a border. I see a little bit of that ink. And the reason I'm doing that, when I stamp on this, I'm going to have a white space. So I want that white space to be in that area there. So that's just purposely adding a little bit of space here. The colors I'm going to use are Balmy Blue for the water, Night of Navy for a little bit accent to the water. I'm going to use the Old Olive for the trees. I'm going to use the trees and the greenery, Crumb Cake for a mountain scene, and Mango Melody for a sun. So I am using the Waterfront stamp set, and I'm going to go ahead and start stamping on the bottom and work my way up. There are many images in this stamp set that are great for creating a scenic view. There are other stamps in the Stampin' Up catalogs, Snowfront and My Meadow, that work really well also for creating scenes. So I've got a little bit of water, and I got I'm going to add just a little bit of color here with Night of Navy. And the beauty of this is you can select whatever colors you would like to create your scene. I'm going to use Old Olive for the green on this, and I'm going to add, this would be kind of a land grass area. Then a mountain ridge, and that one I'm going to use Crumb Cake. So you just work your way up on this design and putting some good pressure down. I'm going to take the trees and add trees right here. And the last stamp I'm going to use is a sun on this side, cutting that off a little bit. So you can go ahead and stamp this scene as whatever colors you'd like, and you can really change it up. The beauty of the stamp set, it offers so many different images to be creative with. So now that I've got that stamped, I'm just going to quickly close all these ink pads so I don't accidentally put something in them. I can take off these Post-it notes, and now I've got my scene all within that framed piece. So that is perfect. The next thing I'm going to do is run these through my cut and emboss machine with the subtle folder. The subtle folder creates just a subtle texture, and it actually looks like it's canvas. So I'm going to do that on both of these two pieces, just like the cooking show. I've done that ahead of time, and it might be hard to see on the camera, but that subtle just makes it look like it's canvas. Now I have all the pieces I need to assemble. There is a piece of early espresso that is 5.5 by 1 7/8. There is a piece of early espresso that is 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, or you can use the largest frame in the layering frames. We've got our tag, and then we've got a soft subtle cardstock 5.5 by 8.5 scored at 4 1/4, folded in half, and then an inside piece that is 3 3/4 by 5 that I've already stamped. So let me show you how I would assemble this card. I'm actually going to bring in the Simply Scoring tool. That's how I scored the cardstock, but I also like using it for getting my cards to line up correctly. I'm going to use the Stampin' Up seal, and I got to make sure I got that started here. And I'm going to put the adhesive on both sides, the back of this piece of tree image that's stamped with the tree, the piece of cardstock that's stamped with the tree image. I'm going to line this edge up and this edge up right to the edge of my Simply Scoring. That allows me to put both edges right up to the edge here and get my even spacing on both sides. It's probably hard to see with the dark gray and the early espresso how I've used that to line that up. I'm also going to use that for attaching. Well, first I'm going to attach this piece. I'm going to put some adhesive. I'm going to go ahead and put adhesive all the way across here. I'm going to then place this down and pick up that sentiment. It's off on the right side. Just have it a little peeking out there, get that even. Put more adhesive, get that going here. More adhesive here, more adhesive here. Now I'm going to place my soft suede, and about 1 inch below the fold is where I'm going to place this across here. So that Simply Scoring tool helps me to get all of that aligned. I'm going to adhere my scene to the early espresso and place this down, put adhesive on the back of this, and then I'm going to line the trees up here so the trees kind of follow the scene here. Place this down, and an option that you can do is tie a bow from some linen, and let me see, it doesn't look like I grabbed my take your pick tool, but take and put that on with a Post-it note, and this is optional, and I'm going to add that. And the final would be to place your piece of cardstock that you've stamped your inside sentiment and place that on the inside of the card. So the frame for you and the waterfront make a beautiful scenic card. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you found me via YouTube, look in the comment section for a direct link to my blog post where you'll find the supply list, measurements, and instructions for this project. There'll be a PDF tutorial you can download. I would love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the red box under the video. If you'd like to place an order for Stampin' Up! Product and you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to have you contact me. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed creating this project with me. Stay safe and stay healthy.